Hi everyone, I'm back with the Secret Rescuers. We're on Chapter 5, A Trail of Cake Crumbs. Sophie and Tom agreed to search different parts of the castle grounds and meet back at the maze. Sophie wasn't sure Tom believed her about being able to talk to the dragon. She didn't blame him, really. She could hardly believe it herself. It was tricky searching the garden with so many guards around. Sophie had to dodge behind statues and rose bushes so they wouldn't see her. She searched hard, but there was no sign of Cloudy. "Did you find him?" she asked anxiously when she met Tom in the maze an hour later. Tom shook his head. "I did see strange marks in the vegetable plot, though, almost like a dog's paw prints, but with claw scrapes, too. I covered them over with the earth before anyone else saw them." "Those must be Cloudy's footprints," said Sophie excitedly. "Did you see anything else?" "Some of the beets had been pulled up out of the ground. It looked like they'd been eaten." Sophie thought for a moment. Maybe Cloudy got hungry. Which way did the footprints go? They were all mixed up, so it was hard to tell. "Let's start searching from there. Maybe we'll find another clue." Sophie dashed out of the maze toward the flower plot, but halfway across the garden she was stopped by a stern-looking Mrs. Ricker. "Sophie, where were you?" The housekeeper frowned. "I've been calling you for ages." Sophie hoped Mrs. Ricker wasn't going to insist she explain what she'd been up to. "There's a terrible mess in the kitchen," the housekeeper went on. "Cook left a window open. An animal must have climbed in and seen the chocolate cake that was meant for the Queen's tea." There's a picture of the chocolate cake. "I think it was probably a squirrel. Anyway, the cake is quite ruined. You must come and clean it up at once." Suspicion dawned in Sophie's mind. "Yes, Miss Ricker, of course." She cast a look at Tom before following the housekeeper into the kitchen. Mrs. Ricker went away, muttering about asking Cook to bake something else. Sophie hurried to the kitchen table. All the chocolate icing had been licked off the top of the cake, and there was a large hole in the middle, as if something had bitten right into it. Sophie felt even more suspicious. "Cloudy," she whispered softly, "can you hear me?" She thought she heard a rustling somewhere, but there was no sign of the dragon behind the cupboard or under the table. Then she noticed a trail of chocolate brown cake crumbs leading across the floor. She followed them to the door of the pantry, the little room where Cook kept her bags of flour, jars of jam, and pots of spices. Gently, Sophie opened the door and peered into the dark. "Cloudy!" A snuffling sound came out of the gloom, followed by a sneeze. Sophie stepped back to avoid the burst of flame and the puff of smoke that followed. She wafted the smoke away with her hands and slipped into the pantry, closing the door behind her. "Cloudy, what's wrong?" "Oh, Sophie," sniffled Cloudy, "I've been a very bad dragon." "You mean because you ate the chocolate cake?" Sophie searched around in the dark and found a tear-stained Cloudy huddled next to a sack of porridge oats. She knelt down and put an arm around him. "Don't worry about that. You've had a terrible day, hurting your wing and everything. No wonder you were hungry." Cloudy hiccuped. "It's not just the cake. I was naughty to go flying by myself. My brother told me I should wait till I was bigger, but I didn't listen." A swirl of wind whisked around the pantry, rustling the bags of flour. Sophie patted Cloudy comfortingly, hoping to calm him down. There was a quiet knock on the pantry door. "Sophie, it's me, Tom." The door opened, and Tom's face peered round. "Is the dragon here?" "Wow, isn't he small?" Sophie hugged Cloudy, who was trying to hide behind her. "Don't be scared, it's only my friend Tom. He won't hurt you." Cloudy looked doubtfully at Tom, and then crept over to sniff his shoes. "What is the freckled boy saying? Can't you two understand each other?" Sophie handed Tom the hollow stone with the purple crystals inside. Here, all the magic began when the stone broke into 2 pieces. Tom looked at her curiously. "Hello, Cloudy. I'm Tom. Can you understand what I'm saying?" Please stop. Please stop. My dog wants to join in. Cloudy wrinkled his little face and looked confused. It was clear that he didn't understand at all. Sophie felt a fluttering inside. So the magical stones only worked for her. That was even more amazing. "Are you trying to trick me?" Tom gave Sophie the stone back, frowning. "No, I'm not, honestly," she told him. Tom still looked doubtful. Sophie turned to the little dragon. "Look, there isn't much time. Mrs. Ricker could come back any minute. Cloudy, I'm taking you somewhere safe until I've thought of a plan to get you out of the castle. Wait here a second." Sophie dashed to the laundry room. She grabbed some of the sheets and clothes folded neatly on the side and stuffed them higgledy-piggledy into a large wicker laundry basket. Then she hurried back to the pantry. Tom went out to check the corridor. "There's no one here," he called back. "I'll clean up the cake crumbs. Go quickly before someone sees you." "Thanks, Tom." Sophie put down the basket and lifted up the clothes. "Hop in, Cloudy. You'll be completely hidden in here." Cloudy climbed in and curled up. Excuse me. And Sophie arranged the sheets and clothes over the top of him. "Just try not to make any flames," she added nervously. "Yes, Sophie." Cloudy's voice was muffled by the sheets. Sophie checked that every bit of the dragon was covered. Then she picked up the basket. It felt much heavier, but she could carry it quite easily. There he is in the basket. She left the kitchen and took the spiral staircase used by the servants. She met Miss Ricker at the top of the steps, and her heart sank. "Oh, Sophie, I need to speak to you." Miss Ricker glanced at Sophie and then frowned at the laundry basket. "Keep out of the garden for a while. The guards are searching for some dreadful beast that's invaded the grounds. They're saying it could be a dragon." "Yes, Miss Ricker." Sophie tried to edge past. She could feel Cloudy wriggling in the bottom of the basket. The sheets on top of him started to quiver. The housekeeper put a hand on Sophie's arm. "Be careful." She lowered her voice. "This beast must have some deadly plan. The queen has given orders for it to be locked in the dungeon when it's found." Sophie nodded, not trusting herself to speak. As soon as she turned the corner, she began to run, the basket bumping against her knees. She reached her bedroom and dashed inside, shutting the door behind her. Then she put the basket down on her woolen rug and pulled the sheets off Cloudy. The little dragon had fallen fast asleep. The end of that chapter.